Hi, my name is Max Goldstein. You're on Max Jet Review. Today we are flying the Eclipse 500. Eclipse is my favorite airplane. It was designed by the pilots for the pilots. Back in 2000, Vern Raburn was looking around, he was flying his SR-22, he was looking to upgrade to a jet, but he didn't find anything because all the planes were designed for the passengers. And that's how the idea was born. Usually aviation is very conventional. It uses old technology and it's quite boring. But Eclipse used all new tech. When you look at the Eclipse, you don't see a lot of rivets. It looks like it's a composite airplane, but it actually uses aluminum friction stir welding for the first time in civil aviation. It was designed with smart probes instead of conventional AOA vanes. This is not just your conventional pitot tube, this is actually a pitot AOA vane. It has 3 holes in front instead of 1, and it measures the angle of attack. In the cockpit, you're not just displayed indicated airspeed, but you are displayed equivalent airspeed. So it calculates the error of air compressibility. After all, why should the pilot calculate it? We got computers. The airplane sinks pretty low to the ground, which makes pre-flight really easy. It fits into a standard T-hanger, and you can actually push it back like a small airplane. Eclipse that we're flying today has beautiful new PPG windshields. Initially, when Eclipses came out, they had plexiglass windshields, and those are actually glass. The wings are de-iced by rubber boots. Eclipse is fully thicky. It's got de-ice on the wings and tail, and it's got anti-ice with engine inlet heated by bleed air on the engines. Pratt & Whitney 610F engines produces 900 pounds of thrust. It's so small it seems like you can lift it with your hands. It has FADEC, full authority digital engine controls. So the throttles in the cockpit are actually just measuring thrust lever angles. There is no mechanical connection between throttles and the engines. Most of the older planes have a halon fire extinguishers. They're about this size and you have to send them to a hydrostatic test. This bottle with an STC from RAS actually doesn't have any time limits. As long as there is pressure, you're good to go. Very convenient to look at the fan, and very convenient to check and add oil. You're not even going to get dirty. You got a side glass, you don't need to pull any dipsticks, and you don't need a funnel. You can pour oil right through the filler cap. It's pretty wide. A smart airplane should be easy to fly. The engines on the Eclipse are placed really close together. Even if one engine fails, you don't have a problem of VMC, of minimum controllable airspeed. You're not gonna do a stall spin maneuver like you see King Airs doing all over the internet. You don't even need a multi-engine rating to fly this plane. You can do your type rating and you will get a multi-engine rating limited to centerline thrust. The landing gear has been designed for you to look good. It's a trade-in link landing gear. So even if you're a bad pilot, you are still gonna grease the landings, and you will look good in front of your girlfriend, unless she also flies. In case you make a hard landing, you got a hard landing gear indicator. It's a simple metal tab. It will bend if you have hard landing, and there is no guessing if you need to make an inspection or not. Eclipse has been designed for a maximum of 6 people, but it's more convenient to fly with 4. Think of it of something like a family sedan. Even though I'm 6'3", I can stretch my legs and not even touch the front seat. I can even recline my seat. I have enough shoulder room on both sides, and even if you got 2 people sitting in the back, it's still not tight. The only baggage compartment that Eclipse has is back here. So if you got large suitcases, it's not really convenient. But on the other hand, since we got rails going all over the floor, we can put the luggage on the floor and strap it to the floor. We've got 2 110-volt plugs, and we got a USB port. We also have a USB port and the plug in front. The only feature missing is CarPlay. Eclipse is a new design and everything. This side stick is very convenient. It was designed by the test pilot who actually got the very first Eclipse into the air. This is the essential switch panel. This is the only panel that has conventional switches. All the other panels is basically a command to the computer. Even the gear up and gear down switch is just a command to the computer, so it's similar to a computer click. We got a keyboard over here. Version 2.9.6 has synthetic vision, and we also have autothrottles in this version, and the autothrottles will work all the way to the decision height. Eclipse got a tile system, so if we want to pull up something over here, we have to press the function key. For example, the FMS is going to bring up the FMS over here, and the tile that was here is going to go to the right. We can plug in the flight plan, Today we are flying from Fort Lauderdale Executive to Fort Lauderdale Executive for our demo flight. The system got a little bit different logic than the Garmin, but if you get used to it, it's actually somewhat more convenient. The next thing we gotta do is we gotta do our weight and balance. And Eclipse actually gives you the envelope, not just the weight. And our takeoff weight today is gonna be 5,400 pounds, which is almost 600 less than our maximum takeoff weight. We gotta input the temperature manually, and because the temperature sensor is designed to give you an accurate reading in flight, it's gonna give us our rotation speed of 86. Eclipse being a simple airplane, it doesn't really have a V1. Your V1, your decision speed, is your VR. So if anything happens before VR, before 86 knots, like engine failure, any red lights, we're gonna abort takeoff and just basically put the throttles to idle and stop on the runway. If anything happens at or above VR, we're gonna take it airborne. And Eclipse will actually fly single engine pretty good. And we are departing runway 27 today. Our takeoff weight limit is 6,000 pounds. Our distance to reach 50 feet is only 2,400 feet. If we have all engines operating, our rate of climb is going to be 2,000 feet, and if we have only one engine operating, our rate of climb is going to be 500 feet. So that's basically, even if you lose one engine, you still can make a typical piston engine climb rate. And next we're going to do system tests, make sure all the lamps are working. Next is going to be stall protection. Eclipse has a stall warning, an oral stall warning that's actually going to tell you what's going on, not just a horn. And it's got a stick pusher in case you don't recover from stall.
Skywatch system test passed.
Eclipse cockpit is really clean. You don't have any backup trim switches or any unnecessary switches that you get on other airplanes. Everything is controlled by the aircraft computer system. This is the Avio concept. Even if you lose your trim switch, which could happen on your stick, you can trim through the MFD by going into alternate trim, then just trimming the dual concentric multifunction knob. Pressurization will be controlled automatically. You don't need any inputs, you don't even need to put field elevation. All you need to do is program your destination in the FMS, and the FMS will determine the field elevation. All your prop heat will turn on automatically once the engines are started. You don't have to worry about it. Another innovation of the Eclipse is the electronic circuit breakers. Instead of having a lot of mechanical circuit breakers, you have the ECBs, which is a solid-state circuit breaker. It's more reliable and it's easier to find. They're grouped either by state, like we don't have anything out, or by system. We can switch in between systems, like for example we go into the fuel system and then they're grouped in the alphabetical order. Really easy to find. That's our electrical system. We have two batteries, so for the start you don't need to turn off the avionics and reprogram everything. For example, Premier Jet, which you can see on my channel, has been designed approximately at the same time as the Eclipse, and you can't even turn on the FMS without having a GPU or one engine running. And the Eclipse you can do it. And early Eclipses had a problem with batteries. Battery capacity was relatively small, and you felt the pressure of starting the airplane fast. But now there are bigger batteries which were developed by RES, which give you so much power that you can pretty much prepare without using the GPU and don't have to worry about discharging the batteries. Eclipse doesn't like low voltage, so before start make sure you have enough voltage on the system batteries. If it's discharged, you will get a lot of glitches later on. Fuel system and engine. Not a lot of airplanes of this size have synaptic pages. The only other thing we need to set up is our altitudes, and whenever you change something on the PFD, it's going to become big. Starting the Eclipse is really simple. It's almost like starting a vacuum cleaner at your home. Beacon comes on, right side clear, right engine, start. FADEC will protect engines from all start abnormalities. If you decide to buy an Eclipse Jet, you need to really understand how the prices are formed. You can find a really cheap airplane like a version 1.1 Eclipse, but it's not even going to have FICI. Or you can look at an airplane like that, which costs just under 2 million, and it has everything up to date as of October 2023. Those screens were actually manufactured when Eclipse 550 started to be manufactured. That's why it has Eclipse 550 sign on it. even though it is an Eclipse 500. Eclipse has a takeoff configuration warning system. If everything is okay, it's gonna give you a takeoff config OK sign over here on the MFD. What it means is your flaps are set for the correct speed that you selected in your ops page, your parking brake is off, your trims are in the green, and the engine temperature is set. So I'm typed in 10 different airplanes, and I fly many different type of airplanes all the time. So I have 3 things that I check before takeoff to make sure I'm not gonna get killed. I check my trims, make sure the trims are in the green. I check my flaps, make sure the flaps are set correct for the speeds, and I check CAS to make sure that I only have the messages that I want. Takeoff config OK, and everything is good.
Left northwest, runway 9 cleared for takeoff, 141.5.
Power, we just pull the throttle back a little bit, and the computer determines that we want climb power. Look at this rate of climb. We are doing 2,000 feet per minute just like planned. And we're gonna accelerate to climb speed. Eclipse conveniently calculates VYC and climb speed. Since we have a Eclipse version 296, we have auto-throttles. Let's check out how they work. We're gonna engage auto-throttles, and the computer will keep our speed. Right now I want the plane to keep climb speed. I'm engaging auto-throttles, and the airplane reduces speed. This plane is actually the Eclipse how it was designed to be right from the beginning, but unfortunately it was designed at the wrong time in 2008. So now we have everything except for VNAV. So now we have everything that it should have done right from the beginning. So if you wanna climb, we select next altitude, 5,500 feet. And we're going to press altitude change. When we press altitude change, the airplane knows that we have to climb. There is no speed button, there is no vertical speed button, there is just one button altitude change. It's going to maintain speed when you climb, and it's going to maintain your vertical speed when you descend. I'm going to press altitude change, and the throttles go into the climb mode, and the plane is going to start climbing. A lot of times Eclipse would be compared with Cirrus Jet, Cirrus Vision. But Cirrus is a single engine airplane. Okay, you got a parachute. But do you really want to fly with your family on a single engine plane at night, IFR over the mountains? This airplane will actually take off on one engine if engine fails at VR. Cirrus has only one engine. This airplane's performance is much better objectively. It will cruise higher, it will burn less fuel, and it will go faster. What's good about Cirrus is their marketing team, and they got a better interior, we gotta admit it. So the side stick is really convenient, and the Eclipse, it handles almost like a fighter jet.
Tango descending 2000. Maintain 2000,
Let's see how the Eclipse is going to handle at slower speeds. Eclipse has a voice warning about the landing gear.
Landing gear.
It's not just
gear.
some sort of a tone that you can actually fail to recognize in stress. It tells you that you forgot to lower the landing gears. Look, the speed is 105 knots. The airplane still flies pretty well.
Landing gear. Stop.
Okay, now we're at stall. 98 knots, and the plane still handles well. 95 knots. And the speed protection kicks on. I didn't have to do anything. So the airplane actually saved us from stall. But what I really want to show you is another protection. We're going to show you a stick pusher. So even if you forcefully turn off the auto throttles, you will have a stick pusher as a second protection. And that's in clean configuration. 93 knots. 93 knots. Push! Push! And it's gonna push, and it's actually gonna engage the throttles all the way up to MCT. And that was, I think, at speed lower than 90 knots. Okay, we're gonna prepare for the approach. I got the 80s I got the chart, the frequencies will auto-tune. I'm gonna set the minimums. Minimums are 213. I have to set up VREF, even though it's calculated automatically, I still have to go into the ops page, into the ops tab, and activate it. This is something I would change, this is something I would automate in the Eclipse. Well, I guess maybe we'll get a new version soon. I get a lot of questions about Eclipse support. People heard a lot about Eclipse bankruptcy back in 2008. But that was a long time ago. Eclipse is fully supported. All the parts are pretty much available on par with other airplanes, and IS&S, the manufacturer of this avionics system, this is the same company that manufactures avionics for Boeing 767s and 757s, actually still does upgrades for this airplane. And upgrades are not going to cost you like other jet airplane upgrades. They're very reasonable. You get double-digit prices instead of triple-digit prices. Same with parts. Eclipse parts cost very reasonable amount of money. Okay, so for us there is nothing left to do other than just watch the automation do its thing. Even though the Eclipse is very automated, I am always a fan of knowing how to fly the plane manually. An Eclipse program actually requires you to go through upset recovery training, which is really useful. And gear is coming down, light slope captured, ABS is armed before landing checks. Gear down 3 green, ABS armed, flaps. I will be landing later and autopilot will be disengaged later. Eclipse training program with URT is actually designed for pilots transitioning from piston airplanes. You don't need a turboprop as a step in between, because jet is actually easier to fly. The engine management is easier. You cannot over-temp it, you cannot overspeed it. In a turboprop, you can over-torque the engine at low altitudes and over-temp it at high altitudes. You got prop turning tendencies. In jet, you don't have it. Okay, so Autothrottle is doing a thing. I'm going to reduce the speed to VREF +5, and as we've seen, the airplane will actually stall around 90 knots in clean configuration. In landing configuration, I think it will stall at this weight around 75 knots, and we are still at 95, so there is enough margin. You can actually just fly at VREF. 500 feet, gear is down, flaps are landing. All we have to do is just press all interrupt switch to disengage all the automation, and we can land. Synthetic vision shows our runway in blue, so we know we're landing on the correct runway, and also we got the vector marking, so if the vector marking is on the runway, it means we're gonna get there. And this Eclipse is, of course, equipped with ABS system, so now you don't have to worry about skidding the tire. Eclipse knows that we landed, so it's going to switch the chart to our taxi chart, which is really convenient.
Executive ground, Eclipse 141 Echo Alpha is off at Sierra going to Atlantic East.
After landing, the checklist is really simple. You just put up the flaps and turn off cabin air if it's really hot outside. All the probe heats will switch off automatically. Even if you go into emergency procedures, let's say you lose a generator, the system will shed the load automatically. If you need to balance fuel, the system will balance it automatically. You don't need to do anything. It's really an airplane for the pilot. You don't need an aviation degree to get a type rating in it. You can actually open and close the door right from the pilot seat. Eclipse puts a smile on my face every time I fly. Even though I'm typed in 10 different airplanes, this is my favorite airplane. If you need a personal jet for yourself and your loved ones, this is the best plane in my opinion. Let me know if you need to find out more information, or if you need to find a plane or learn to fly it. My contact info is below the video. Subscribe to my channel. See you next time.